Hi there, welcome to Switch Mania. I am Clarence and today we'll talk about the best Nintendo Switch games on sale. We will be covering the UK, EU, US, Australia, and Canada eShop. But first and foremost, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you want to see more of this series, please leave a like. Remember to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to receive future notifications. Likes and subscriptions help keep the channel alive. First on our list is Blazing Beaks. Blazing Beaks is a Switch eShop hidden gem. Despite the fact that the game is difficult to learn, it always makes a lot of people laugh. It's best to play the game with a group of friends to get the most out of everything it has to offer. If Blazing Beaks even remotely appeals to you, you should purchase it. Blazing Beaks is many things all at once. It has a roguelike story mode and a local multiplayer mode with 2 sticks. Both modes aren't perfect, and if you're only interested in one of these, there may be better options available, but this game has a ton of replay value. It would be insane to pass it up. Next is Golf Club Wasteland. Golf Club Wasteland is a thought-provoking piece. Its story has been told on the radio and in your golfer's diary, and it only gets better once you beat the game. This makes for a positive overall experience. It's important to note that the audio is looping and that there will eventually be nothing new to hear on the radio, but it's a great way to tell a story orally. Because this is Demagogue Studios' first project, I'm looking forward to seeing how they grow as developers. There is a lot of talent and creativity on display, and if everything goes as planned, barring an environmental disaster, their next title will be one to keep an eye out for. Next is Beautiful Desolation. Beautiful Desolation is essentially a series of fetch quests that aren't particularly well hidden. In exchange for favors, you'll be asked to run errands, usually by picking up a piece of technology in a far-flung part of the world. This unpleasant experience is exacerbated by the presence of invisible walls. I am, however, willing to be duped into performing these meaningless tasks in exchange for the opportunity to see more of its broken, beautiful world. Beautiful Desolation demonstrates that the Brotherhood is capable of creating visually appealing as well as story-driven point-and-click adventures. It accomplishes this by expanding on the game formula developed by Stasis. Next is Dex. Dex is a fantastic cyberpunk version of the Deus Ex game series that manages to do so on a shoestring budget. The world and characters are entertaining and interesting, and it's clear that the title was created with great care. There's a lot of fighting, but it's not particularly exciting. You'll enjoy Dex a lot if you don't mind having to push through boring fights to get to the good parts of the game. It's not Deus Ex on the Nintendo Switch, but it's a lot closer than you might think. Dex is a well-crafted game with everything you'd expect from a cyberpunk adventure. If that sounds like a bad way to discuss something, it isn't. There's a lot of love for its world, and even though it's similar to other cyberpunk games, getting your hands dirty and exploring its seedy, nasty world is always fun. This game should appeal to fans of both RPGs and Metroidvanias. A charming little mix that takes a while to reveal its charms, but it's well worth the wait if you have the time. Next up, Arise, A Simple Story, Definitive Edition. Arise, A Simple Story may be just that, but the emotions I experience and the journey I embark on are far from simple. I wasn't expecting to feel so many strong emotions despite the art's calm and beautiful style. You have to like this game a lot to appreciate how much care and love developer Untold Tales put into it. The entire Arise takes between 4 and 6 hours, depending on your speed. But believe me when I say that every second is so valuable that I almost wish there were more. If you missed out on this game when it first came out, I recommend picking it up for the Switch. I would, however, recommend keeping a box of tissues nearby for the emotional parts. You'll need them, believe me. Next is Gamedec, Definitive Edition. Gamedec is a type of RPG that brings back memories of simpler games. This feels more like a point-and-click adventure game with a lot of dialogue to get through than a unique way to fight or kill a god using the power of friendship. If you enjoy written science fiction or cyberpunk, you'll find plenty to enjoy here. You won't find much if you like RPGs because you enjoy crunching numbers and fighting cool enemies. If Gamedec sounds interesting, I believe you should give it a shot. Except for a few glitches in the graphics and lines of dialogue that don't make sense, Gamedec accomplishes its goals admirably. Next is Scribblenauts Mega Pack. Even though Scribblenauts Mega Pack lacks touchscreen support, which is surprising given that both games are already available on 3DS and Wii U, it contains 2 of the most empowering games in the last 10 years. Both have been optimized for Switch, so you can expect a family-friendly experience that will challenge you to think outside the box to find the most creative and out-of-the-box solutions. The Switch is an excellent platform for playing both Scribblenauts Mega Pack games. They're not perfect, and if you want something difficult, they can be simple. However, both games are enjoyable to play for entertainment purposes. Both games are worth a second look if you can get past Unmasked's flaws. Next is LEGO City Undercover. A Wii U game that many people have forgotten about is given new life on its successor. Despite some frame rate issues and a higher price tag than most, LEGO City Undercover is one of the best LEGO games and a great portable companion. LEGO City Undercover is an action-packed platformer full of secrets and charm. Even though the series as a whole has changed, which diminishes how good this was back in 2013, there is still a lot to enjoy here. Next up, LEGO Harry Potter Collection. The game differs from recent LEGO games in that it has a simpler design and focuses on puzzles. It still has the simple gameplay and witty humor that every LEGO game is known for. Some will be put off by how simple it is, but others will be drawn to it, particularly those looking for something their children can enjoy together. Having enough content for 2 full games can be beneficial or detrimental, depending on your attitude toward repetition and collecting things. In short, it's another good LEGO game with all of the series' advantages and disadvantages. Next is LEGO Marvel Superheroes. LEGO Marvel Superheroes will appeal to fans of both LEGO and Marvel. A quick but well-paced story takes you on a fun ride while constantly introducing you to new people and places. Fantastic voice acting and hilarious writing make excellent use of both film and comic book Marvel characters. The game concludes with a fun open world in which players can mess around with characters as much as they want. Some minor issues with the graphics and controls serve as a reminder that this is not a new game. When you're flying around Manhattan as Iron Man, however, you forget about these flaws. Next is LEGO Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. The charm of a LEGO franchise game is combined with the attention to detail and care that a Star Wars franchise game deserves. This is without a doubt one of the best LEGO games and a must-have for fans. In a nutshell, it's the best thing ever for LEGO and Star Wars fans. Epic conclusion to the Skywalker Saga that, while not as well as I'd like on Nintendo Switch, is still a fun and unique experience. However, there isn't much wrong with the Skywalker Saga in general. It's a well-written love letter to a series of films that will appeal to both young and old audiences. This one is extremely powerful. Next up, LEGO Jurassic World. Overall, LEGO Jurassic World is a fantastic love letter to fans of both the Jurassic Park series and LEGO games. The strange use of QuickTime events in this entry was annoying, but if you look past that, there's a lot to enjoy. It would have been nice to see some content from Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom here as well, but given when it was released, the game is still a must-have for all Jurassic Park fans. Furthermore, the ability to transport this package makes the Switch version the best way to play. Next is Loud. Loud cranks up the volume to 14 with 14 original pop-punk songs. The songs chronicle Astrid's journey from playing guitar with a broom in her room to rocking the stage years later. It's a great game for those who have never played a rhythm game before, but it's also quite difficult for those who have. Anyone who enjoys pop-punk music should purchase this at the current price. Loud is a fun rhythm game with some great tunes, a likable main character, and an enjoyable gameplay mechanic. There are numerous reasons to play again, and I will most certainly return to master the levels I barely got through the first time. It's a fantastic Switch game, and I'm sure it'll be enjoyable on PC as well. Next is Akane. Akane is a fun twin-stick shooter that focuses on close-quarters combat and encourages players to use their weapons as little as possible. This game is a lot of fun to play, especially with the great graphics and upgrades. Every story in Akane concludes with violence, blood, and the hero's death. Because of how well it builds up to its inevitable conclusion, this retro-styled game is one of the best of its kind. It accomplishes this by combining a subtle strategy with some of the market's tightest action. Akane is a stylish arena fighter that looks great on the Nintendo Switch. It has a simple premise and a stylish look, and the enjoyable One More Go gameplay matches both. Next is One Strike. One Strike is a truly unique and pure video game. For the price, you get a fresh take on the one-on-one fighting genre, and it will quickly become your go-to game when you need a break from more difficult games or just want a quick burst of intense reflex exercise. It's your best and most efficient way to ruin friendships on the Switch right now if you can find a group of people who want to play it with you. Don't be afraid to grab it and then strike or perish. There is absolutely nothing else to do. In One Strike, you can fight as one of 6 different warriors to see who is the most lethal. The game is simple to play, but the tension will keep you on your toes. The small roster and limited number of game modes are enjoyable for short periods of time, but not for long. Nonetheless, One Strike is a low-cost fighter game that is easy to learn and play. Next is Mana Spark. Combat is generally beneficial. You can move quickly and shoot with the reticle, but sometimes the goal isn't clear, and a sudden, unnecessary increase in difficulty doesn't help much. If you're looking for a fun roguelite, look no further. Mana Spark is more than just a standalone game, and it should be treated as such. Its combat and tactical RPG elements, as well as its very appealing pixel art style and difficult difficulty level, place it in a category where veteran players will find just the right amount of challenge, but where some less experienced players may feel left out. A game that will appeal to anyone who enjoys being challenged. Next up, Warlocks 2, God Slayers. In Warlocks 2, God Slayers, players can train to become powerful warlocks while assisting the Order and killing gods. The fights can become tedious, but they aren't too difficult until you face the bosses. You'll be able to fight in a variety of ways because you can select from a variety of characters. Warlocks 2, God Slayers isn't perfect, but it plays as such. It's difficult not to recommend this game with so many reasons to play again. Cute quirks, deep customization, and fun battles. It's a fun Metroidvania game that you should try even if this genre isn't your favorite or hasn't stood out in the past. Next is Tharsis. Even though this game is unique and entertaining, I felt that it relied too heavily on sadism and luck. The difficulty level is high not because it was difficult to devise a strategy, but because Tharsis appears to mock you when you perform exceptionally well. Even if the odds are in your favor and the game as a whole is new and fun, your chances of winning are very low. However, Tharsis is most enjoyable when you're on missions where things don't appear to happen at random just to kill you. It's a great idea for a turn-based strategy game, but be aware that it's not very forgiving, and you'll most likely die more than you live. Next is Crypt of the NecroDancer, Nintendo Switch Edition. Crypt of the NecroDancer is an excellent game that every fan of the genre should experience. Its upbeat, up-tempo approach to dungeon crawling is infectious, and there's enough content here to keep even the most seasoned spelunkers busy for many dance-fueled dives into the depths. If you've never danced with the Crypt of the NecroDancer before, this fully featured Switch Edition is an excellent place to begin. In the end, Crypt of the NecroDancer is a fun game. You hop on, listen to some cool music, and solve a lot of problems along the way. Despite the fact that each run is unique, I always felt in command. Crypt of the NecroDancer is difficult to grasp at first, but once you do, it's one of the most intriguing games available on the Nintendo Switch eShop. Next is Hand of Fate 2. Hand of Fate 2 is a unique RPG for the Nintendo Switch. It's difficult to categorize, but that only adds to its appeal. There's so much to like about this game: the fun idea of customizing your deck, the infinite depth of your quests, and the simple enjoyment of fighting. The game took a while to arrive on Switch, but the wait was well worth it. This is a mobile port that is nearly identical to the version available elsewhere. Make a point of adding this fantasy adventure to your digital library right now. Hand of Fate 2's combination of card-based adventuring and action RPG battles makes it a truly unique game that has surprised me in all the right ways. The unique take on an action-based RPG by Defiant Development is a real standout on Switch and well worth checking out. It's exciting, unpredictable, often nerve-wracking, and occasionally frustrating, but it's always interesting. Next is Thomas Was Alone. You probably already know if you need to get Thomas Was Alone because it is a 2013 package of a game that reportedly sold 1 million copies. If you have a Switch and haven't played it yet, you should download the demo right away. It's a fun way to learn about how games work, and anyone with an interest in games should go. The entire game is a few hours of fun platforming with excellent graphics and a compelling story. And, as a throwback to a time when independent games were popular, Thomas Was Alone is a delight. The game can be completed in a few short sessions, and Bithel's commentary is a kind of meta-narration that will make you want to replay it if you haven't already. In short, Thomas Was Alone was a good game when it first came out, and it's still a good game today. Next up, Lair of the Clockwork God. When Lair of the Clockwork God wants to, it can make you feel real emotions. It's a well-balanced mix of point-and-click adventures and 2D platformers. This is Ben and Dan's masterpiece and one of the most important games of 2020. Lair of the Clockwork God is a fun off-the-beaten-path adventure. It has great comedy and a lot of entertaining puzzles. The platforming has flaws, but the game is still a lot of silly fun. If you want to laugh a lot while controlling two rival friends on a quest to, I guess, save the world from certain destruction, check out Lair of the Clockwork God. Next is the Coma 2, Vicious Sisters. This Korean horror survival game is refreshing in that it allows us to choose our own path while employing modern survival game strategies. The game's two endings are so different that the player wants to play it over and over. Coma 2, Vicious Sisters is a must-have due to its unique gameplay, 2D aesthetic, and excellent character development. The Coma 2, Vicious Sisters is an excellent game that immerses you in a dark parallel world and employs every means possible to create a sense of tension that you can't get enough of. Next up, Bridge Constructor Portal. Bridge Constructor gains new ways to use logic, a cleaner look, GLaDOS's unique sense of humor, and, of course, portals. If you enjoy logic games, this is an excellent addition to your Switch library. Bridge Constructor Portal isn't just a Portal reskin with a Valve theme. Bridge Constructor was created with great style by developer Clockstone, who used portals and their well-known physics-based puzzle mechanics to spice up the gameplay. Fans of the Portal series should definitely try this game out. Next up, The Inner World. The Inner World features a realistic fantasy world with a charming art style and well-animated character sprites. Unfortunately, the cutscene animation isn't up to par with the rest of the game. It's a good point-and-click adventure for the price, but the dialogue is slow and the game mechanics can be confusing at times. The Inner World is a soothing and well-crafted point-and-click adventure. Because of its challenging puzzles, art style, voice acting, and overall setting, most players will enjoy it despite the lack of a touchscreen control system. Even if some of the puzzles are difficult to solve, the overall experience is enjoyable and intriguing. Next is The Inner World, The Last Wind Monk. The Inner World, The Last Wind Monk is a good game, but when docked, it lacks good pointer controls. It improves on everything that was good about the first game. It keeps the same magical world but expands on it and serves it faster and more responsively than the first game did. This means that, whereas the previous game was a point-and-click game with a charming world that was worth checking out, this one goes above and beyond by fixing what needed to be fixed and creating an overall experience that is so good that the player can't stop playing because of all of its positive aspects. And last, but not the least, Vambrace, Cold Soul. Vambrace is a fun and quick adventure that trades the loneliness and grind of Darkest Dungeon for a shorter and less replayable journey once you get the hang of it. You can obtain costumes from side quests and unlock in-game art by completing achievements, but there is no new game plus to expedite things. Still, there are a few occasions when you can make important decisions that alter the plot and grant you new costumes, so there is some reason to return. People who enjoy turn-based RPGs and wanted more story from Darkest Dungeon will enjoy this game, but those looking for a more streamlined or directed experience will be disappointed. That's all guys. I hope this video was helpful in deciding which game to play, and thank you for checking out the list. Please remember to subscribe and we'll see you at the next one.